Nice that you are watching this video. In this video we are going to talk about the album Folklore by Taylor Swift. Folklore is the 8th studio album by the American singer-songwriter Taylor Swift. It was surprise released on July 24, 2020, via Republic Records. Swift recorded her vocals in her Los Angeles home studio and worked virtually with the producers Aaron Dessner and Jack Antonoff, who operated from their studios in the Hudson Valley and New York City, using a set of characters and story arcs to depict fictional narratives. It departs from the autobiographical songwriting that had characterized Swift's past albums. Experimenting with new musical styles for Swift, Folklore consists of mellow ballads driven by piano, strings, and muted percussions. Music critics mostly classify the genre as indie folk and alternative rock. The album's title was inspired by the lasting legacy of folktales, and its visual aesthetic adopts cottagecore. Folklore was accompanied by the concert documentary Folklore: The Long Pond studio sessions, featuring Swift's commentary and performances. The album topped the charts in Australasia and various European countries, and it was certified platinum or higher in Australia, Austria, Denmark, Italy, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, and the United Kingdom. In the United States, it spent 8 weeks atop the Billboard 200 and was the best-selling album of 2020. 3 songs, Cardigan, The One, and Exile, featuring Bon Iver, reached the top 10 on international singles charts, with Cardigan peaking at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Folklore received widespread critical acclaim for its emotional weight and intricate lyricism. Some journalists commented that its introspective tone was timely for the pandemic and regarded its sound as a bold reinvention of Swift's artistry. Many publications featured the album on their 2020 year-end rankings, and Rolling Stone included it in their 2023 revision of their 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list. Folklore won Album of the Year at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards, making Swift the first woman to win the honor 3 times. The album informed the concept of Swift's next record, Evermore, 2020. Boosted Dessner's reputation, and has inspired other artists' works. In April 2020, Taylor Swift was set to embark on a concert tour of support with her 7th studio album Lover, 2019. On July 23, 2020, 9 photos were uploaded to Swift's Instagram account, all without captions, forming a black and white image of the singer standing alone in a forest. Subsequently, she made another post across all her social media accounts, announcing that her 8th studio album would be released at midnight. Swift stated, "Most of the things I had planned this summer didn't end up happening. But there is something I hadn't planned on that did happen. And that thing is my 8th studio album, Folklore." She confirmed the image as the album's cover artwork and revealed the track list. The Wall Street Journal opined that the surprise announcement caught fans and the music business off guard. Billboard stated that it blindsided the pop music world, arriving as exciting news during lockdown. Folklore was released 11 months after Lover, the fastest turnaround for a Swift studio album at the time, beating the 1 year and 9 months gap between Reputation, 2017, and Lover. In another post, Swift announced that the music video for the track Cardigan would release at the same time as the album. During the YouTube premiere countdown to the Cardigan music video, Swift hinted that the album lyrics contained many of her signature Easter eggs. "One thing I did purposely on this album was put the Easter eggs in the lyrics, more than just the videos. I created character arcs and recurring themes that map out who is singing about who. For example, There's a collection of 3 songs I refer to as the teenage love triangle. These 3 songs explore a love triangle from all 3 people's perspectives at different times in their lives. She referred to the album as wistful and full of escapism. Sad, beautiful, tragic. Like a photo album full of imagery, and all the stories behind that imagery. Described Cardigan as a song that explores lost romance and why young love is often fixed so permanently in our memories, and pointed out the self-written track, My Tears Ricochet, as the first song she wrote for the album. Uproxx narrated, on Thursday night, that hand-drawn T and S could be seen up and down the timeline. Music fans and critics across genres unveiled hot takes, quoted lyrics like MySpace teens writing on the back of textbooks or crafting the perfect aim-away message, and debated folklore's place in the unimpeachable Taylor Swift canon. Swift did not expect to create an album in early 2020. After the cancellation of Loverfest, Swift quarantined herself, during which she watched numerous films and shows, such as Rear Window, 1954, LA Confidential, 1997, Pan's Labyrinth, 2006, Jane Eyre, 2011, Marriage Story, 2019, and The Last Dance, 2020, and read more books than she ever did, books that dealt with times past. A world that doesn't exist anymore, such as Rebecca, 1938, by Daphne du Maurier. The fictions inspired Swift to venture beyond her usual autobiographical style of songwriting and experiment with different narrative standpoints. In isolation during the lockdown, she let her imagination run wild, ensuing in a set of imageries and visuals that consequently became folklore. Some of the imageries the singer developed include an exiled man walking the bluffs of a land that isn't his own, wondering how it all went so terribly, terribly wrong. An embittered tormentor showing up at the funeral of his fallen object of obsession. A 17-year-old standing on a porch, learning to apologize. Love-struck kids wandering up and down the Evergreen High Line. My grandfather, Dean, landing at Guadalcanal in 1942. A misfit widow getting gleeful revenge on the town that cast her out. Swift poured all of whims, dreams, fears, and musings into the songs, and reached out to her musical heroes to collaborate with. She initially planned to release Folklore in early 2021. But it ended up being done sooner and released in July 2020 without giving it second thoughts. She approached the album's creation without subjecting herself to any rules, and explained that she used to put all these parameters on, like, how will this song sound in a stadium? How will this song sound on radio? If you take away all the parameters, what do you make? And I guess the answer is folklore. Swift's songwriting drifted towards escapism and romanticism for folklore. She enlisted 2 producers to achieve her desired sound. Her longtime collaborator Jack Antonoff, who worked with her on 1989, 2014, Reputation, and Lover, and first-time collaborator Aaron Dessner, guitarist of American indie rock band The National. Antonoff and Dessner quarantined remotely, separate from each other, creating folklore by continually exchanging digital files of instrumentals and vocals. The album ensued from a DIY process, mixed and engineered by personnel scattered across the U.S. Swift had previously met The National on a Saturday Night Live episode in 2014, and attended one of their concerts in 2019, where she talked to Dessner and his twin brother Bryce. She asked Aaron Dessner about his songwriting technique, because it is her favorite thing to ask people who I'm a fan of. And he replied his band members live in different parts of the world, and that he would make instrumental tracks and send them to the lead singer, Matt Berninger, Who would write the lyrics? This ignited Swift's idea to create music in quarantine due to the pandemic. All recording studios were closed, so Swift built a home studio at her Los Angeles residence, named Kitty Committee, with help from engineer Laura Sisk. Antonoff, with whom Swift worked on 5 songs from the album, operated from New York City while Sisk recorded Swift's vocals in Los Angeles. My Tears Ricochet was the first song written for Folklore. Swift wrote it about her ties with Scott Borchetta, founder of her old record label, coming to an abrupt end. Antonoff compared the writing process of Mirrorball and August to that of Out of the Woods, 2016. Swift wrote Mirrorball following the cancellation of Loverfest, as an ode to fans who find solace in her music and concerts. She wrote August about a fictitious mistress, and This Is Me Trying, based on multiple narratives, such as dealing with addiction and her own mental health in 2016-2017 when she felt she was worth absolutely nothing. In late April, Swift approached Dessner to co-write some songs remotely. He worked on 11 of the album's 16 tracks over the next few months. Dessner thought it would take a while for song ideas to come, and had no expectations as far as what we could accomplish remotely, but was surprised that, a few hours after sharing music, my phone lit up with a voice memo from Taylor of a fully written song. The momentum never really stopped. Swift and Dessner were pretty much in touch daily for 3 or 4 months by text and phone calls. He would mail her folders of instrumentals, and she would write the entire top line, melody and lyrics, and he wouldn't know what the song would be about, what it was going to be called, where was going to put the chorus. The first song the duo wrote was Cardigan, which is based on one of Dessner's sketches called Maple. Cardigan was followed by 7 and Peace. Upon hearing the composition of Peace, Swift felt an immediate sense of serenity that roused the feeling of being peaceful, but felt it would be too on the nose to sing about finding peace. She instead wrote about complex, conflicted feelings contrasting the track's calming sound, and recorded it in one vocal take. A few weeks later, when Swift and Dessner had written 6 or 7 songs, she explained him her concept of folklore. She told him about the work she had done earlier with Antonoff, concluding that both of her works resonate as an album. Swift and Dessner also wrote The Last Great American Dynasty, Mad Woman, and Epiphany, the first of which has an array of electric guitars inspired by Radiohead's 2007 surprise album In Rainbows. The lyrics document American socialite Rebecca Harkness, whom Swift had been wanting to write about ever since she bought the Holiday House in 2013. Dessner composed the piano melody for Mad Woman, with his earlier work on Cardigan and 7 in mind. On Epiphany, he slowed down and reversed the sounds of different instruments to create a giant stack of harmony, and added piano for a cinematic trope. Swift wrote the song based on the experiences of her veteran grandfather and healthcare workers in the pandemic. Swift wrote 2 songs, Exile and Betty, with her then boyfriend, English actor Joe Alwyn. She developed Exile as a duet, and Dessner recorded a draft of her singing both the male and female parts. Swift and Dessner ran through candidates for the male partner, and Swift liked the voice of Bon Iver's Justin Vernon, who is one half of the American indie rock band Big Red Machine along with Dessner. Dessner sent the song to Vernon, who liked the song, added his own lyrics and sang his part. Betty is the only song on the album produced by both Dessner and Antonoff. Swift was influenced by Bob Dylan's The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, 1963, and John Wesley Harding, 1967, for its composition. Alwyn used the pseudonym William Bowery for his credits. Upon the album's release, mainstream media and fans pointed out Bowery's lack of online presence, and presumed that it was actually a pseudonym for Alwyn, which was later ultimately confirmed by Swift. Swift added that he also penned the chorus of Betty, and the piano line and first verse in Exile. The last two songs written were The One and Hoax, the first and last songs on the album respectively. Swift wrote both in a span of few hours. Speaking about his collaboration with her, Desna commented, "There's a palpable humanity and warmth and raw emotion in these songs that I hope you'll love and take comfort in as much as I do." In a November 2020 Rolling Stone interview with Paul McCartney, Swift stated she began using words in the album's lyrics that she always wanted to use, not worrying about whether it would suit radio. She used bigger, flowerier, prettier words such as epiphany, elegies, and divorcee, just because they sound beautiful. Swift disclosed that she maintains lists of such words, and recalled using one such, kaleidoscope, in Welcome to New York, 2014. In a December 2020 Entertainment Weekly interview, Swift said the lyrics, melodies, and production of Folklore are the way she wanted them, without subjecting to others' expectations. Taylor has opened the door for artists to not feel pressure to have the bop to make the record that she made. While running against what is programmed in radio at the highest levels of pop music, she has kind of made an anti-pop record. Desna on Swift's new sonic direction in Folklore. Billboard Folklore was written and recorded in secrecy. Swift, her boyfriend, family, management team, Antonoff, and Desna were aware of the album's creation. She did not disclose the news or play the album to her friends as she did with her previous works. Near the end of Folklore's recording process, Desna reached out to his regular collaborators, including the National bandmates, to provide instrumentation remotely. Bryce orchestrated several songs, while Brian Devendorf performed the drums in Seven. Desna kept Swift's involvement confidential from his family and colleagues until announcement. While filming the Cardigan music video, Swift wore an earpiece and lip-synced to the song to prevent it from leaking. Desna stated that Swift's label, Republic Records, was unaware of the album until hours before its launch. The standard edition of Folklore is about an hour and 3 minutes long, consisting of 16 tracks, while the deluxe edition adds a bonus song, The Lakes, as the 17th track. Bon Iver is featured on Exile, the 4th track. Folklore was written and produced by Swift, Desna, Antonoff, and Alwyn, with additional writing credit to Vernon, the lead vocalist of Bon Iver. On Exile, it is Swift's first album to carry an explicit content label. Critics mostly categorize Folklore as an alternative indie folk and electro-folk album departing from the pop maximalism and synth-driven sound of Swift's previous works. It also incorporates indie rock, electronica, dream pop, country, and folk rock elements. NME's Hannah Mylrea wrote the album dives headfirst into the world of folk, alternative rock and indie, while the same magazine's Gary Ryan classified it as indietronica and chamber pop. Kaylin Bell of Exclaim said Folklore is a laid-back pop record. Variety's Chris Willman and Pitchfork's Gillian Mapes specified it as chamber pop. Michael Sumsian of Pop Matters described it as a blend of chamber pop and alt folk, and Razor Bruner of Time deemed it alternative pop folk. Music journalist Amanda Petrusic, reviewing for The New Yorker, felt Folklore is a genre-less record that drifts toward atmospheric pop rather than folk. In disagreement, The New York Times critic John Caramanica called it an atmospheric rock album abandoning pop. Spencer Kornhaber of The Atlantic said the album swims through intricate classical and folk instrumentation, held together by electronic music, devoid of radio-friendly pop songs. Folklore eschews the mainstream sound of Swift's older works. It consists of mellow, cinematic, slow-paced ballads, with a minimal, lo-fi production, and elegant melodies, together lending a modern spin on traditional songwriting. It is built around soft, sparse and sonorous pianos, moody, picked and burbling guitars, glitchy and fractured electronic elements, subliminal, throbbing percussions, mellow programmed drums, mellotron, sweeping orchestrations with ethereal strings and meditative horns. The album does not fully avoid plush synths and programmed beats characteristic of Swift's pop music, but instead dials them down to a subtle texture, delivering an electro-acoustic soundscape, which highlights Swift's voice and lyrics. Rolling Stone stated the album's tone resembles Safe and Sound, Swift's 2012 single for The Hunger Games, songs from District 12 and beyond. The Ringer noted that Antonoff confers a synth-bass style to the record, while Dessner contributes a piano-leaning sound, and linked Folklore to two songs on Lover, The Archer, and It's Nice to Have a Friend, as Swift's albums usually have a couple tracks that harken back to the previous album or wind up connecting them to the next. This was the video. Next time we will continue about the album Folklore by Taylor Swift. Don't forget to subscribe. Till next time. Bye.